In this tutorial, we'll look at the bubble chart template at SharePoint dashboards.com. This template is very similar to another template, which is the scatter plot chart template, also available at this site. This type of chart is indicating data using three key values. You have the x coordinate, which is the dimension moving left to right across the chart, and then a y coordinate, which is the vertical, the up and down value. And then, unlike the scatter plot, there is an additional third value, which is used to indicate the size of the plot point, which in this chart is referred to as a bubble. So in the example data, you can see we have 4 data points, and the size of those bubbles are changing according to a particular value from my SharePoint list. So you can see the green bubble labeled in my key as limes. That's 500, and then the largest value here is 1000, and that corresponds to cherries in my key. It's easiest if you're confused about bubble charts, you can read about that using the link down in the notes section. That might help you better understand in which cases you might do this type of diagram. As I mentioned, this is closely related to a scatter plot diagram. So it's likely if you're doing something like this, you'd have data, or as a prerequisite, you might be doing a scatter plot first, and then this would be kind of a next step that you might do with that data. The key at the top is formatted according to the key values. Those are pairs, and the first part of that is the actual text value. The second part's the color. This provides a key to tell your users what each of these bubbles correspond to. And then all the other settings are typical, and they're like other templates. Be sure to check out different theme options. You can look at some differences in options in terms of the look and feel up at the top of the page. And then for this particular kind of chart, you do need to indicate some things that have to do with the bubbles. So you can change the maximum bubble size in terms of its actual width and pixels. You can adjust that until you get the look and feel that you want. And then in order to draw those bubbles, we also need to know what is the maximum area, what's the high end. So this is going to help get the corresponding width for those according to the value in your list data. And what we should do here is take a look at what that list data would look like. This needs 4 fields. You're going to need to have 3 number columns, one each for the x and y coordinates. And then the third coordinate is actually an indication of the size of the bubble. So what this is going to do is make that proportionally sized according to that value. And then one last value, which is for the color. So this is some sample data, which is helping you understand the kind of data that you need for your diagram. Okay, so once you have that all set, what you need to do is go ahead and enter your fields at the bottom. So I'm going to put those in here. And these are just the names of my SharePoint fields. And then I'm ready to copy the template. If you are going to use the gradient background, you do need to make sure you upload the library of icons and images. Those are linked at the bottom of the notes section. Or alternatively, you can just remove the gradient. So I'm ready to copy that over. I just follow the directions. I can come over here to my list in SharePoint Online, format the current view, and I'm going to just paste in my template code. And there it is. So this is something where you want to make sure you look at some examples of different bubble charts. But basically, there's a position in terms of where the bubble is located according to this x-axis and y-axis, and then the actual size of the bubble itself is dictated by a third value. So from our chart template, the maximum value we indicated, that's going to dictate that size. So the bubbles will be drawn accordingly. Naturally, you can append to your key and have more bubbles according to what you want. You can adjust the range, all of those types of things. So as I mentioned, this is very closely related to scatter plot. So if you're interested in this type of diagram, I suggest you also take a look at that and also do some research and look at some examples on the web of both scatter plot and bubble chart diagrams, so that you can begin to understand what kind of data set you need and where it would be appropriate to use this type of template. Good luck!